may sit down, Bill. Well, as you might have noticed, they're working on the town hall vigorously. And of course, they make a lot of noise on Tuesdays. Good morning, sir. Just to make us know that they're building on. It looks pretty good so far. Just a couple of things. We have a rural organizational meeting just to get some feedback. The board wants feedback, and that's on August 5th, Friday, 2 p.m. So there'll be an announcement in the Oaks reminding everybody. And just a personal note on inflation. I was in the produce section of the grocery store the other day, and it was bad enough that the avocados are up over $1.50 now, but there was an orange bin that said 88 cents. I thought it was per pound. It was each. 88 cents for an orange. I thought we lived in Florida. They're just down the street. So inflation is more than just what you see in the news media. And also I'd like to ask people to silence their phone, put it in airplane mode, mute it or whatever. Sometimes it's distracting. There you go, Jim. And not to forget, there's 6 days until we get breakfast. It's in the north dining room, but it's breakfast, and we get it Monday through Saturday. Lunch is always in the...
That's at the pub menu.
Yeah, the pub menu is available in the north dining as well as the regular menu. And Andrea, you have something about the employee gift fund?
Hi, I just wanted to remind everybody that the employee gift fund is collecting. Our employees have been really, really helpful through some rough times lately. But we need to be sure and remember to put something in the fund. Collections are down this year because we have inflation, everybody is suffering, but they're suffering even more. So think hard, see what you can find to put into the collection boxes. Okay? Thank you.
And one other thing, the town hall completion date, there's a contest or a pool. Is anybody here that is organizing that?
I think it's gone.
Oh, it's gone?
Yeah.
Okay, forget what I just said. Anyway, it was a nice idea. And with that, Brant, I think we're done for that part of the program.
All right, thank you. So I do have the official construction complete date for the town hall, and it is available for any particular bribe. So any of you gamblers who are interested in the skinny on that. Next up, Dave Little from our therapy team has a few words for us. Dave.
It's on.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me over, guys. So, who here likes junk mail? I might have been responsible for some. Okay.
So, I know nobody likes junk mail, but we've kind of got a new service that we're offering. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the Director of Therapy Services for the campus here, okay? And primarily what we've been involved in is skilled nursing across the street. Primarily, we've been skilled nursing across the street, but we're starting to do more outpatient over here in the independent living. So, did you guys probably all saw this flyer? Got stuffed in your mailbox? That's my contribution to your junk mail. If you don't need therapy, use it for Kindle. Well, maybe that's not such a good idea. So, I just want to make you guys aware, I've hired a full-time physical therapist to put her over in this building. You probably know Diana. She was with another company before, but she's going to be working with us now. And Stacy Parker and OT is coming over here. I also have speech services available. And I just want to throw this out there for your consideration, okay? We can make it really easy for you to get therapy. Basically, if you call me and you tell me that's something you're interested in, we'll take it from there. We'll contact your physician. We'll secure the orders, we'll make sure, we'll look at your payment, kind of explain to you what all it's going to cost. But I would just encourage you guys, okay? It's a lot easier to get a little back than it is to get a lot back. So the longer, I mean, if you feel yourself starting to get weak, you're having difficulty ambulating, you're having more difficulty performing your activities of daily living, don't wait until it gets to the point where you have a fall, you have an accident, you have to come stay with us across the street to recuperate. Okay, let us try to help keep you there. All right? So, if you need one of these flyers, just let me know. Or otherwise, you can just ask for Dave. I think I'm the only one on the campus, right? We're pretty close. So yeah, just give me a shout, and I'll get you pointed in the right direction, and we can get you started. But rather keep you guys safe than try to fix you afterwards. All right? Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you letting me say a few words.
All right, thank you, Dave. And we will go ahead and get started. Now, I have a Tuesday talk joke, but on occasion I start these with a funny. But my sense is you probably are going to find it more funny after the meeting rather than before. So I'm moving the location of the joke, and you'll get it last rather than first. Ready to get going? Yeah. All right. So, COVID update, we continue to look really good. Just a few isolated instances, both here and in the health center. Over at the health center, we are back to normal precautions. We are off the droplet measures. The positivity rate here at Regency Oaks is less than 1%. That's phenomenal. You'll recall that 5% is considered, anything above 5% is considered a breakout. And that again is for the entire campus. The positivity rate here in Pinellas County is 18.4%. That's very similar to what it was last week. We have seen a little bit of an increase in the state. It's up above 21.6. But in Pinellas County and at Regency, it's looking more positive. Our assessment is that we pretty much have this contained across the campus, and the good news is I'm taking this out of the slide deck. We won't be talking about it again on a weekly basis unless there is a change of status. I think we've gotten on top of this, and we're back to normal operations. So I wanted to give you an update for the South Building residents on what's happening with our HVAC systems. Last week was a tough week for HVAC. There are a couple of things that were going on. The biggest was we had a faulty driver on one of the two chillers. When they had done the replacement on the chillers, one of the drivers was brand new. The other was an older unit that they assessed to be in fairly good condition. When we had the power outage, and I forget whether it was Monday or Tuesday, it took out that driver. And so maintenance would come along and reset the individual air conditioners, whether they were in the corridors or in your apartment. And 2, 4, 6, 7 hours later, they'd start popping offline again. And so it took us a while to figure that out. The driver's been replaced. My understanding is the air conditioning, particularly in the apartments, has been pretty stable and steady since, and so we think we're on top of that. One of the issues that was raised last week at Tuesday Talk is the corridors, particularly in a certain segment of the building, did not appear to be operating, and so did a little research, talked to Darwin on that. There was an 8-ton unit that we were aware was out. We had ordered it about a month ago. That first one serves the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor. It's the elevator and the core wings headed out to the fire doors. Again, we ordered that about a month ago, so it's scheduled for an August, first week of August replacement. And then one of the other things we discovered is there's another 8-ton that serves the same area, 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor, but this is the P and the M wings. That did not reboot, and so we don't know if it's been out for weeks, months, years, but what we do know is that it wouldn't reboot, and so we have ordered a replacement on that.
The M wing is in the north building.
Sorry, typo, thank you. That would be in. Construction update. So a lot going on this week. The vault in the beauty salon is coming out. That should be worth watching. That 3,000-pound door is going to be cut off with a welder, and somehow they're going to get it out through a door. That really should be interesting and worth watching. You see that they are finishing up the trusses and putting the plywood underlay down for the new roof. Believe it or not, the shingles are going on the roof starting Monday. And so this is critical as you think about the opening date and your wager. This is critical information that you need to know. Getting the building under roof will prevent further delays. And so factor that into your date as you try to select and win the pool. Next week, we're going to see a framing out of all the interior walls, and they'll really start to move forward rapidly now that the roof is going down. Couple of issues with the beauty shop. Not good news here. We are having some supply chain issues relating to our HVAC. Part of renovating that was an investment in all new HVAC equipment, and two things that we were trying to do. We wanted to create a split air system, so 2 thermostats, 2 air handlers. The idea was the beauty salon is going to be open during regular business hours, where the therapy section that has the hydrotherapy chair and the emulsion capsule, those are club access level, and they're open more extended hours like our fitness center. So if you wanted to go down at 7 o'clock at night, you'd be able to, your fob would grant you access to that area. And so we wanted to do a split air just for greater efficiency. There's been a delay on that. It's now scheduled for an middle of August delivery, which would put us back to an August 1st opening. Now here's the second problem, is the makeup air system. Us men probably don't know this, but you ladies absolutely do. So for 30 years, we've had no makeup air in the beauty salon. So every time we did a hair and did a perm, all those pleasant aromas, and they had nowhere to go. They just circulated within the beauty salon. And so one of the upgrades we decided to make is to bring in what's called a makeup air system, and it allows you to bring in fresh air and take out the stale air. And our makeup air system is delayed. It's not going to be here until October. Now, so here's the solution that, where the decision that we're going to have to make. It looks like I'll be able to open the beauty salon in September, but not with fresh air. So it would be operating just like it's operated for the last 30 years. If you're getting a perm, everybody knows you're getting a perm because there's no way to exhaust that. But that's sort of what we're leaning, is go ahead and open it up. And so it's going to operate just the way it's operated for the last 30 years. And then when the new system arrives in October, we can solve that problem permanently. So that's sort of where we're leaning. So Wednesday and Thursday, we are going to have 15 of our key supervisors off campus. We're putting them through a program called Leadership in Action, and it's designed for our emerging leaders, our young rock stars who at some point in the future are going to take over the leadership of this community. And so we have Ginger is one of our emerging leaders, and Dustin, and all those key people that we depend on to make sure that things happen. We're now wanting to make sure that we're giving them the tools and the resources so that they can build their careers and be successful. And so they're going off campus Wednesday and Thursday for 2 really intensive days of leadership training. And then they've made the commitment of a weekly Zoom, every other week, a Zoom meeting, a 2-hour Zoom meeting for 6 months to continue that training and developments of their skill set. So we're really excited about this investment in our up and coming leaders who will carry us forward in the years to come. Yes. So I wanted to talk a little bit about food and beverage. This is all positive. Let me just first put everything to rest there. There's nothing in here that isn't positive, but you'll remember that Kyle and I went up to Nashville about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and did a week of training with LCS, and we committed to come back and share some information with the residents, and I've been doing that slowly. Today what I want to talk about is food and beverage. This was the presentation, parts of the presentation from that Asheville trip, and it sort of talks about the future of dining, and this is zeroed in on LCS. And so yes, there are some figures in here that are more global to a wider industry, but specifically this is related to LCS, where we think the future is going and what it's going to look like, and how we have incorporated that into our planning. And so we've broken it up into 4 categories. It's the people, technology advancements, inflation and how we respond, and then resident outcomes. So the first section, the people, the current state is we are right in the middle of shifting from a pandemic response to normal operations under labor and supply chain crisis. And so the operating environment that we are attempting to run in is very different than what it looked like in early 2020 before the pandemic. And we know that labor is we're in a tight labor market. You probably have heard me say that here at Regency Oaks, in our 5-mile SMA, standard market area, there are over 100 communities that do exactly what Regency Oaks does, and we're all competing for the same employee. And so it's just a really tough labor market. And then I know you've heard Chef talk about this multiple times, is we're running into supply chain issues, and it's not just limited to mechanical issues with our maintenance department or new construction. It's also with our food and beverage team, where Chef is having to run out spur of the moment and go to a local depot to pick up spare ribs because they shorted us on the Cisco order. They didn't have them. And so those are things that we're going to see more of as we make this change. We know that there is inflationary pressure on both food and supplies, and we know it's impacting the resident experience. One of the things that is interesting, and in talking with Sherry and Mary and Jill Sorensen, Regency Oaks is not the only, but one of just a few of the peak communities that is actually open for dining services. The vast majority of the peak properties are still doing carryouts and takeaways as their primary dining service. And so the fact that when you take where we are and put that in perspective of what's happening throughout peak, we've come a long way. So I thought this was a really interesting slide, and this is the openings in leisure and hospitality. That's the category under CPI that Regency Oaks would fall under. And this is the number of job vacancies. And you can see in 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, the problem was beginning to grow. And we sort of know that, right? Because people no longer aspire to work in the service industry. These young millennials, as they come out of college or look for their employment search, they're looking for different things. They want to work from home. They want something a little more sexier, something more glamorous, something with more flexible hours. And so the trend we've been noticing the trend for a number of years. You can see the big dip in 20. The start of 20, it had slowly trickled off. That's January, February, March, the advent of COVID. And then as COVID really hit us hard, you can see that the vacancies bottomed out. And what was happening? Restaurants and hotels were shutting down, and people were being stuck in to unemployment. And so you can see that there in about, what do you think, maybe April of 2020, we bottomed out completely. But here's the most interesting part of this slide. This is the number of job openings. Look what has happened since 20. There are more than double the job openings available for, if you showed up at my door, I would hire you. There's double the number of job openings now than what there was in 2000, in the start of 2020. So the sector has changed pretty significantly. And just as you would expect, you know the first slide says, look at all these vacancies and job openings that are going unfilled. And so you look at the response of the industry, and this is, I'm not talking about Regency. The hospitality sector, the wages have risen the most in all industries across the board in hospitality. And hospitality is either accommodations or food and beverage. And our wages in the industry are up about 18.4%. And you know that one of our strategies back in January was a wage adjustment where we took for instance, the starting wage of a server from 11 and a quarter all the way up to 14. And so that's part of what we're seeing. Historically high vacancies and rising pressures to be competitive and go after a smaller, shrinking supply of labor. So those are a couple of the challenges that the Life Care Services and Regency Oaks are going to be facing in dining. So strategies, recruiting efforts. I just wanted to talk about some of the new approaches. The one-day video text to applicants from key team members. We've figured out that the secret to this is relationship building. And so if Phil has a server and they've applied and Dee has interviewed and it's looks like it's going to be a good fit, Phil or Dustin, one of our key managers, is doing a video chat. It's a message, pre-recorded message to that individual saying, hey Joseph, thank you for your interest in Regency Oaks. We were really excited to meet you this morning. We think you're going to be a great addition to our team here. And it's that personal contact to develop that relationship even before they're hired that we think is going to be one of the difference makers in recruiting new staff. Wage structure, a couple of things that are changing in our approach with wages. Again, I'm going to stick with dining. So one of the things we're trying to do is create a ladder system so that you come in, you go to work for 14. At the end of your third month, you earn your certification. You're a certified server. You're going to get an increase. 3 months after that, you're going to become a lead server. 3 months after that, you're going to become a trainer, a certified trainer, you're going to get an increase. And so creating a ladder system where people have the opportunity to see advancement and opportunities to grow and develop and build a career, that's critical to retaining and building a solid staff. A service charge is a different way of thinking about retention, and that's based on the belief. Everyone knows we use a COT card, and so if you observe one of our servers doing a great job, you can fill out a COT card, and then they get publicly recognized at an all-staff meeting or a department meeting. We recognize them and thank them, and sit in front of their peers and tell them, here's what the resident said about you. It's a great motivational tool. What would happen if we attached a payment to that? And so if I had a resident who turned in a card and said, hey, Joseph took great care of us in the dining room last night. What a great hire he was. I can't believe how rapidly he's picking up the system. Kudos to Joseph. He did a great job. What would happen if Joseph got a $25 attachment, a bonus attached to that COT card? And so that instant recognition and gratification is also one of the ways we think will change how we retain associates. Retention, flexibility in scheduling, we know that's critical with this younger generation. They're not our generation. They're not as interested in the Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job. They want more flexibility, and they want to work different shifts and different days, and they want the ability to select those days. And figuring out how to do that is paramount if we're going to be successful going forward. And so you've heard about our flexible scheduling. If a server walks in and says, yeah, I'm interested, but I can't do it on Tuesday because I have band practice, and I can't do it on Thursday because Thursday is our basketball games, so I really only can work Wednesday. I can work Friday night, but just for an hour, and then I'm available on Saturday. We're going to hire you because we're going to figure out how to adjust our schedule to meet your schedule. It's a different approach than what we saw just 2 years ago, where this is a Monday through Friday, 4:45 to 7:30. There's no flexibility. You're filling our master schedule. This is slot A1, and so it's changing the approach. And then this next one is the Pineapple Academy, which is providing additional training, development, and career growth. And I have a slide on that. So Pineapple Academy, standardized training. And so it's a series of videos specific to our industry that shows you how to set a table, how to serve. Do you serve from the left or do you serve from the right? Does the spoon go above the plate facing left, or does it go on the left-hand side at the far edge? It will talk to you about how to greet a table, how to approach a table, how to clear a table. And the great part about this is that it's all videoed. So I don't have to have all of you together, which is really hard to do when you have 52 young servers. But I can assign it to you. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your tablet. You don't have to do it on my tablet. You can do it at your leisure. You can do it while you're at work or while you're away from work. If you do it, it's going to log in and record your hours so that you're going to get compensated. But it's just going to change the whole dynamics of training staff and helping them grow and build into the job. Career development opportunities, we talked a little bit about that, and then it's also streamlining to improve our operational efficiencies. So technology, a couple of things that we know are going to change our industry. Bite Ninja is a ability to order food off of an online platform that is not Regency Oaks. And the best example I've seen of that, anyone been to McDonald's lately? You've gone through the drive-through, and the person who greets you, do you know that they're not in the building? They're in India somewhere. and so you pull up and they say, "Thank you for choosing McDonald's. How can I assist you? Let me know when you're ready to order." And you're talking to someone who's literally not in that building. And then that order is translated via electronics directly to the prep line, and those orders are tallied up and then sent to the window. And so Bite Ninja is how that's being done. And it's been very effective at reducing errors. How many times have you told me what I ordered is not what I got? And Bite Ninja may be one of the solutions. A couple of our communities are beta testing servers. I hope we never have to do this, but if you haven't seen them, they are robotics that come from the kitchen to your table with your food. And they roll up to your table and their arms extend, and you grab your plate and exchange an electronic message. And I've got some pictures. I didn't bring them today, but I'll share them next week. We're experimenting with beta testing a couple of those right now. We have a new recipe platform called Grove. It's going to give us more flexibility with our menus, more ability to provide substitutions, more variety. It's going to be an enhanced menu that I think is going to be really well received by residents. And then point of sale optimization. You know that our Full Count is our new point of sale system, and it's capable of doing so much more. So as we further develop that and explore those possibilities, we're going to see some great things. So other technology, online ordering, reservations, that's something that we have started here. Tableside tablet ordering. You've probably seen that at Chili's or any of Red Robin uses it. A lot of restaurants are doing that now. And then there's also a self-service option that might be something worth exploring here, particularly for the to-goes. And then one last chart on this, and this is I just want to look at how these lines are changing. That blue line is offline food ordering. So that means you are calling, you're not using the internet, you're calling with your phone order. I want to put my food order in, and this is what I want, blah, 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 blah. Look what is happening where it used to be 90% of all orders, it's now down to 42%, and look what's replacing it is the online food ordering, which used to be 13%, is now 58%. More people industry-wide are ordering meals online than they are in person or over the phone. And so the dynamic is changing, and we will continue to see where that leads us and what the dining is going to look like a year from now. Okay, so outcomes. Why are we doing all this? Why are you making all these changes? Why are you driving us crazy? We're change resistant, and so here's why. It's the meal of the day. It is going to offer you inflation protection and higher quality. We're going to reduce food waste. Our reservations will lessen wait times. We're going to see improved quality. Hot food is going to be served hot. Cold food is going to be served cold. We're going to reduce our takeouts to ensure that residents are socializing and that they're not sitting up in their apartment alone and isolated. And then overall, we're going to see an improved dining experience. You know that what really started this was back in September of last year, we did a survey, and yes, it was impacted by COVID, but nearly 49% of the residents thought we weren't headed in the right direction when it came to our food and beverage team. Leftovers. So I want to talk just a little bit more about leftovers. This is food that you take away from the table. You will recall that we are in a trial period. We had a 2-week training period, mostly for the staff, that started June 15th to July 1st. And then July 1st, we entered into a 90-day trial period to figure this out. And we're about 45 days in. We had to have a starting off point. And so I know that would not have been the starting point for many of you, but we had to have a starting point, and in consultation with our dining team and the resident dining committee, we defined a starting point. We jumped in, but at the same time, we told you that we would listen, we would continue to take your feedback, and that we would tweak the program as we went through, because this is a trial period. And where are we right now in terms of what we set out to achieve? Well, our salad bar is controlled. I think every one of us can sort of acknowledge that the salad bar was out of control. There was a lot of abuse going on at the salad bar. We feel like we've gotten a handle on that. The baskets of Tupperware that were being brought in bags and suitcases and walkers, we've pretty much eliminated that. And so we've made progress there. Our takeouts, which is a concern to us because of the isolation that it causes residents. Believe it or not, our 7-day running average for the last 2 weeks has been down about 30%. So we were running 185. We're now running somewhere between 125 and 135. And so there's been some significant improvement in reducing the number of takeouts. And then I just wanted to acknowledge, thank you for your patience and your support as we work through this. I know it hasn't been easy. I know, I have been able to sense the angst and the frustration that many of you have, and I just want you to know that we have been listening. We are appreciative of your comments and your feedback, and we want to thank you for being a part of finding a solution. So, next step. What to do with that pesky half hamburger. So, effective at noon today, and this is across all of our venues, whether you're in the north or the south dining, or whether you're in the new bistro pub, we're going to reintroduce the clamshell that we've used for years for takeaways. And so if you have that hamburger and you haven't been able to completely finish it, you can ask for a clamshell, and we're going to provide that for you. So if you have leftover mashed potatoes and you want to take that and a small piece of meatloaf, you're going to have a clamshell to do that. So here's what that doesn't mean. It doesn't mean if you ask for 4 of these, we're not going to give you 4 of these. But this is going to resolve the issue in terms of, I just feel like I'm wasting food, and why can't I take my half hamburger home if I can't fill it, if I can't eat it because I'm full, and you're just going to throw it in the trash? Why can't we find a solution? So we have a compromise solution. So this is available at 12 noon today. Starting today, you'll be able to ask for a clamshell. Are you ready for the joke page? See if you think this isn't funnier now. Why do people put leftover food in Tupperware? Because they want to throw it out, but just not for a few days. So just to be clear, we are still not allowing you to bring Tupperware into the dining room. So do not put them in your purse. Do not try to hide them in your walker. We are still not allowing Tupperware into the dining room, and you should not need it now that you have a clamshell to take the leftovers home.
Thank you.
So having said that, this seems like a really good place to stop, and we'll open it up for questions.
I got Jim, I mean, Richard, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, front row.
Front row.
Yet again, the pool is too hot. I have not been able to swim for 2 weeks.
98 yesterday.
Okay. Did it get better?
I think maybe one day.
One day,
It went
okay,
from
good.
102, like down to 82, and that was too cold.
Okay.
Now it's back up again.
Let me follow up. Thank you.
Somebody's got sticky fingers.
Question. I got a recommendation for you, a strong recommendation. Gail and I had the privilege of being stuck in the elevators. In my case, it was not a crisis because the cabin light was on, and as a result of a fair amount of pounding on the door, I got the attention of the people who fixed it, the security people. Gail, on the other hand, she was stuck there for about a half an hour in the dark. And that's not a good situation at all by any objective measure. So I got to recommend to you that first, you clean off the emergency door that's underneath all the buttons and clean it off, because some of them are rather dirty, and then paint on it, emergency phone button. And the word button should be painted in red, and when you open the door, the button is red. And that will help people who are not familiar with that kind of operation.
You know, and so good point. I think your larger point was, and certainly this was true in Gail's situation, is the lights failed. And so whether it's painted any color or not, if the lights aren't working, and so that was our first priority, is to have Tyson Crump come out, and sure enough, not a single light in any elevator worked, and they had just been inspected. And so if you have noticed, all the lights have now been upgraded, renovated, and so that is now something that we will test on a monthly basis just to make sure that those are working. The second thing that I want you to know is there are two safety features in those elevators. And we didn't really have a power outage. Remember, we lost a leg, and so the elevators acted differently than what they are designed to do. So when the power goes off, those elevators are programmed, they're hydraulic, they are programmed to return to the first floor, and the doors will open wide. It didn't happen in your case because we lost one, we're on 3-leg power, we lost one of the legs. So power was still coming into the building, but the elevators didn't register that it wasn't enough power for them to operate. And so it created an unusual set of circumstances. But when we lose power, those elevators all are programmed to return to the first floor and the doors open. You don't need to push buttons, you don't need to call anyone, you don't need to do anything. They will return to the first floor and the doors will open. There is signage over there, Roger, and I'm going to go have to look because I don't know what's.
Grant, those elevators, those buttons are like Coven.
Yeah, I would think so. But let me go look because I honestly can't, Bill is sharing with us that they're already at code, but let me go look because I personally can't answer that question, so I'll go take a look.
Thank you.
How big is this box that I'm taking out my food in?
They just showed it to
I
you.
can't see from here.
I'm sorry, it's the same one we've always used. It's the clamshell. They have styrofoam, they have plastic. I just grabbed one out of the kitchen, but it's the same size we've always used. I don't know if it has a size number.
I don't know,
Do
it
you know?
doesn't look that big. Okay, thank you.
Half a fish and a half a
Good for
hamburger.
having you.
So when I asked Phil for this, without telling him, Phil brought it down to me. Anyone want to guess what was in here?
What?
A hamburger bun. And so I know that a full hamburger bun will fit in here.
Hi. You have just addressed probably the biggest single concern of residents here, and that's fantastic. We're really glad to hear it. And thank you. A suggestion. I know that one of your concerns, and it's all of our concerns, is this, your joke. You just leave it in there and then you don't know how old it is, and so maybe you throw it out, or you don't. That's a concern. How about, may I suggest, that the servers use a pen and write on the box when they hand it to the resident, the date. So then they'll be dated. This isn't my idea, actually it was Jim Bader's. But it's a good idea.
It's a good idea, I like it.
Along the same lines of the clamshell, you said hamburger, then you alluded to meatloaf and mashed potatoes. I couldn't really finish a Reuben, so I took all the crust off and ate the middle. But are you opening this up that clamshell can take home anything off your plate that you wanted to?
Yes. Now, we'll also, with the exception of you also have the availability of getting your dessert in a separate clamshell. So if you choose to take your dessert out, you still will be able to do your dessert and your leftovers.
When you go over to look at whatever you're going to look over at our south building, would you please look at the fountain out front? It is all green, and you said that the fountain in the north building is white, and it is. But our fountain in the south is just not very nice thing for our new people to come in and see.
I'll take a look at that, thanks.
I think it might be my turn. For those in the garden club and other people that might be interested, the CDS has finished building a new fence around our garden out there, and it looks pretty good. Something bad happened. I don't know if you've been informed about. I think it was, although I didn't see it exactly, one of the windows has been broken out of the greenhouse. These are 6 feet by 30 inches. Tempered glass, thank goodness. The people that were doing the undercoating for the car sheds were right next to it. And they've got these 10-foot poles, paint poles, and I'm sure that what happened was they backed up. They didn't say anything. I'd assumed that you had been informed about it. This happened about 5 days ago, I think.
I didn't know that. Darwin probably is aware of it. And,
Okay.
Eddie is our painter. He's been with us for, 15 years, and so I'm sure he's already told Darwin that he did it and that he's going to cover it. But I'll follow up.
By the way, I'm very proud of the fact that you've got these clamshells, especially the transparent ones. These ones stuck back in the refrigerator that you can't see what's in.
This way you can see the mold grow and just one more thing. So we will continue to have listening posts. It's our next listening post is the 5th. You're meeting on the 5th. So 6, 7, the 9th, August 9th is dedicated to, is going to be dedicated to another listening post. I'll have the entire dining team here, and we're going to do exactly what we did last time. Tell us what's working, what we need to stop, what we need to change, and take your feedback. So we want to continue to take your feedback on a regular basis as we work through this trial period and get ready to go live, and really go live October 1st.
You stated earlier that the industry generally is eliminating dine-in and moving toward takeout. You stated your plan is to do just the opposite, to try to force the takeout to dine-in.
So I either misspoke or you didn't hear me correctly. I'm not sure which, but if I misspoke, I apologize. So the industry is not moving to takeout. The industry is still solidly eat in, but the way we take that order is what's changing. And so we're seeing fewer and fewer people do the ordering face-to-face, coming to the front desk and putting in their order, or calling on the phone to an extension that is never answered or monitored, and hoping against hope that someone's going to pick up your order. That's what's changing, is how that order is conveyed to the restaurant team.
I have a question that doesn't have anything to do with food and dining. Our housekeeper called in sick today, so we're not getting, we get on the 4th floor, we'll be clean tomorrow. But that call came from Dawn. Has that happened to Wanda already?
No, so great question. So Wanda is our new housekeeping supervisor, but we are having, right now, we're having Wanda focused on getting to know her team, organizing her department, and so Dawn is continuing to assist as the department director, and we'll keep Dawn in place for probably another 30 days, just to make sure that the transition is, the last thing in the world we want to do is overwhelm a brand new supervisor in her first 5-6 weeks of employment.
I just want to be sure
Yeah.
she hadn't left.
She is here, and I'm hearing good things about her, but she has a really limited role in terms of running the department. She's doing the day-to-day, but Dawn is still overseeing the department. Great question.
Okay.
I think we would like to know what, how much saving the dining staff has in supplying the salad bars, since that was a concern of yours. I think it'd be nice to know what the savings are that you would see.
So we will have, we have a sense, but we won't actually know until we close out the books for the month of July. And that's why when we've set this meeting for the 9th, we will have closed the July books. And so we'll share that specific information at our meeting on the 9th and tell you exactly what our raw food cost is over the month of July as opposed to the month of June. And so that'll be valuable information to hear.
Brent, the app is great. And my understanding is if you put in a work order, A, it comes back with a confirmation number. But B, it apparently goes to either the north or south desk, and then that person has to translate it into a work order, and that's how it gets in the process. And the confirmation number, apparently nobody seems to know what that confirmation number is. Is there a way that we can work to improve that so that it can be tracked, so you can find out, because it's a little bit cumbersome.
Yeah, and so to Bill's point, he's absolutely right. If you use the new Regency app to put in a work order, it doesn't go to maintenance, it doesn't go to anyone directly, it goes to the front desk, and the front desk has to manually write it down and enter it into what we call TELS. That's our electronic work order system. And you get a computer-generated number, it's a confirmation number, that we don't get. And so, if you call and say, hey, what's the status on work order 78961? We don't know. So here's, to your point, here's the plan, is we've got to get the Regency app to integrate and talk to TELS. And we're working on it. And so that's one of the two next steps. The other next step is to have that connect and integrate to everyone's personal cell phone. So, you know, if you know that if you try to call someone, a staff member at Regency Oaks, they're never in their office, and that's a good thing, because I want them out on the floor where they can make a difference. I don't want them pushing paper in their office. And so they're very hard to get a hold of. This will change because it will allow you to directly connect to that individual's cell phone. And trust me, you've seen young kids. They don't go anywhere without a cell phone, right?
Over here.
Hey, Brant, I have a request or a suggestion or whatever. When you call the South Hostess Desk, could we have an announcement saying you have reached the South Hostess Desk? Just to give you a little confidence that you did dial the right extension. They do it in the north. I don't know why the south can't.
Okay. What does it say when you call? Nothing.
Leave your message after the beep. Yeah.
Okay. Good idea.
I called the North Desk Saturday and left an order for Boar's Head. And previously, Dick had you have reached the North Desk, leave your message. I got, leave your message after the beep, even in the north on Saturday. So that needs to be corrected again,
Good.
also.
All right.
I have a question about the phone calls, with the robocalls we get. It shows spam risk, and people who don't recognize the Regency number probably aren't answering their phones.
All right, so real technical question. Let me ask you this before you pass on. Do you know if is that a problem for the robocalls, or is that a problem for the call-em-all? And would you know the difference? Anyone know?
There were from Betsy yesterday when we had that false
Okay.
alarm.
All right, so I'm going to make the assumption that you probably are not having a problem with the robocalls. And that's the older system. You probably are having an issue with the call them all and the text them all. That's what we used yesterday. Yesterday, if you were in the north building and you got a call from Regency Oaks, that was out on the call them all. And so that has to be changed with each individual carrier, and we've made the change with, do you know right offhand?
Yeah, they're still working on it.
Okay, so I've heard that someone told me that it finally got changed. I can't remember if they were with AT&T or whoever it was, but Betsy is working on having it changed with all the carriers. And so there are a ton of carriers out there, AT&T and T-Mobile and Verizon, and so we're working on that. But that's where it is. It's not Regency, it's your carrier. We've successfully changed one, but I forget which one it was.
I have also heard that if you will enter Regency Oaks phone number in your contacts, it will come through.
Has anyone tested that?
Yes.
Yes, does that work?
Anybody in your contacts that comes through.
Okay, so hold on, before we move on, this is really important. So Judy has shared good information. Go into your phone and enter Regency Oaks and our phone number in your contacts. Regency Oaks and then our primary phone number. And if you do that, it's going to recognize your phone is going to recognize Regency Oaks as opposed to spam. And that's even an easier solution, because then we don't have to deal with the carrier.
So a little caveat to that, at least with me, who's on Spectrum. My TV still says spam, but my phone says Regency Oaks.
Yeah. So Gene is pointing out that solution will work for your phone, but your TV, if you're tied to the TV, it's still going to say spam as opposed to Regency Oaks?
Every
Every
phone call I get says spam, and people I'm meeting with say the same thing, and they don't look at the number, and they have got people that have been really calling them that is called spam.
Do you have your phone right now?
This is my
I got a solution right here. Here she comes. She's gonna fix it for you right now.
No, mine is the landline that's
Yours is-
doing it.
Oh, yours is the landline?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right.
I think we're having time for one more.
Brad, I do have Regency Oaks listed in my contacts, but it still comes up spam.
Who's your provider?
Verizon.
Verizon? Okay.
And also, when I get calls from transportation, department heads, it always says from Zalco. I don't know what's going on there.
It always says for who?
Zalco?
Zalco? Still certain. Okay, I don't know. Oh my gosh.
One more over here.
I've got a suggestion, a fundamental management suggestion. Whenever management discovers what they think is a problem, before they form their own little group for discussion, managers in general, they should bring it to us and let us be a part of the solution. That way, you wouldn't really have to have a trial period, maybe with some exceptions. And you wouldn't have to back up later on and say, oh, gee, I guess we did make a mistake, so we're now going to come out with a little box, because that was a real hot topic among a lot of people here. And of course, there's some other things pending that should be treated with a group discussion. And it's a concern, because we pay the bills, everybody's bill, but yet we're not always included in the management process of discovering the problem and then finding a solution. It's done in secret, quite frankly. And you got some really good people here that have good management experience or life experience, and they can help with the solution.
And so I know, Roger, we've had this discussion a couple of times. But so here's the way Regency Oaks is set up. We are never going to have group decision making, because you have a resident council that is your representatives with management. You have 9 active committees. You have over 85 people who are the voice of the residents. And it doesn't mean that we aren't going to share with you our planning process and where we are and what the outcomes are and what we're thinking. But the decision making occurs between the management team and the RORO boards. And so if you want to have an active voice in what's happening in the community, please let me encourage you to get involved in any one of our 9 standing committees. All the decision making across the campus occurs with your elected representatives. That's why you elect them. And so if you have a particular interest in building and grounds, go attend one of their committees. If you want to get involved in our health and safety team, go attend one of their committees. It is not just for the elected representatives, but that's where the decision making occurs. It's not in the body politic. You elect representatives to take your voice to management and have a seat at the table. And so I assure you that's where all these decisions are made. And so let me encourage you, Roger, please get involved in one of the committees so that you can participate.
Well, I am involved in one of the committees, and that's almost a full-time job. And you'll be hearing more about that later, I'm sure.
Okay, that should wrap it up. We've gone over an hour, so thank you for coming.